Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vana Chari Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Stota Sata Shishimad Divangas Isi Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Hastota Stata Shishimad Divangas Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Just have to find where we are here. $39. Oh, I don't think I have the right book for Lila Mrita. Would you be able to pull it up on the
On
screen,
the
Prabhu?
screen? Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhu, I can do that.
I think I have the wrong book.
No, no, it's okay, no problem. I'm just sharing the screen, Prabhu. Just
All
allow me
right.
a second. I'm just doing it.
Okay.
So can you see it, Prabhu?
Okay, got it. So Shishi Radha Madhu. Got it. Cool. Thanks, Prabhu. Kaushalya would regularly wash the temple floor while Prabhupada gave his Srimad Bhagavatam lecture. One morning, Prabhupada interrupted his lecture. Just see this girl, he said. Kaushalya was down at the other end of the room, scrubbing. This is first-class service. The next day, Prabhupada called Kaushalya forward. Every morning you are washing the floor so nicely, he said. But this morning you are washing the floor like a crow takes a bath. Prabhupada shook his hand as if flicking water about. You do not know how to wash the floor. I'm going to show you. Prabhupada came down from his Vyasasan and walked to the other end of the room, followed by all the devotees. Where is your bucket? Kaushalya brought over her bucket. Prabhupada asked for a rag. She gave him hers. He then crouched down and started scrubbing. This is how you wash the floor, he said, with lots of water, and you do it a section at a time. It should be done in two stages. First with a wet rag, and then with a wrung rag. The devotee stood in amazement, watching. Several times Prabhupada repeated the procedure, washing a section of the floor and then drying it. Careful not to touch the clean area with his feet. See, he said, that is expert. When Tamal Krishna requested Prabhupada to move on to Bombay and bigger preaching, Prabhupada replied, let us see if Krishna wants us to have this place. Hamsadutta also became restless to preach, and Prabhupada sent him with a group of brahmacharis to Aligarh and Agra. Little appeared to be happening in Gorakhpura, but Prabhupada had plans. He was still negotiating with the university authorities for land for constructing a temple. If we are successful in our attempts, it will be unique in all the world, and soon more and more college campuses will follow. And if we can establish a seat of Krishna consciousness, then students may take their doctorate degree in Krishna consciousnness and go out and preach all over the world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sorry, I just gotta figure out the verse. 13, 16. Canto 5, chapter 13, text 16. Yep, 16. Am I correct here? On the verse, Prabhus?
23, Prabhu. 23. Hare Krishna,
23.
Prabhu. It is 23,
23, okay, I got it.
5, 13, 23.
Sorry about that.
Do you want me to show on the screen?
I got it.
Okay,
Got it,
thank
yeah.
you.
So the chapter is entitled Rahugana Converses with Jad Bharat, text number 23. Namno mahadbhyo stunamashishubhyo namo yuvabhyo nama avatubhya ye brahmanagam avaduta lingas charanti tebhya shivam asturagyam namo mahadbhyo stunamashishubhyo namo yuvabhyo nama avatubhya ye brahmanagam avaduta lingas charanti tebhya shivamasturagyam namo mahabhyo stunamashishubhyo namo yuvabhyo nama avatubhya ye brahmanagam avaduta lingas charanti tebhya shivamasturagyam. Word for word. Nama, all obeisances, Mahad, Bia, unto the great personalities. Astu, let there be, Nama, by obeisances. Shishubhya, unto those great personalities who appear as boys. Nama, respectful obeisances. Yuvabhya, unto those who appear as young men. Nama, respectful obeisances. Avatubhya, unto those who appear as children. Yea, all those who. Brahmana, self-realizing transcendental knowledge. Gam, the earth, Avaduta Linga, who remain hidden under the different bodily guises. Charanti, they traverse, Tebya, from them. Shiva Astu, let there be all good fortune. Ragyam, unto the royal dynasties or kings. We're always very puffed up. Translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the great personalities, whether they walk on the earth's surface as children, young boys, avadutas, or great brahmanas. Even if they are hidden under different guises, I offer my respects to all of them. By their mercy, may there be good fortune in the royal dynasties that are always offending them. Purport. King Rahugana was very repentant because he had forced Jadbar to carry his palanquin. He therefore began offering prayers to all kinds of brahmanas and self-realized persons, even though they might be playing like children or hidden in some guises. The four Kumars walked everywhere in the guise of 5-year-old boys. And similarly, there are many brahmanas, known as a Brahman, who traverse the globe either as young men, children, or avadutas. Being puffed up due to their position, the royal dynasties generally offend these great personalities. Therefore, King Rahugana began to offer his respectful obeisances unto them so that the offensive royal dynasties might not glide down into a hellish condition. If one offends a great personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not excuse one, although the great personalities themselves might not take offense. Maharaj Ambarish was offended by Durvasa, who even approached Lord Vishnu for pardon. Lord Vishnu would not grant him pardon. Therefore, he had to fall down at the lotus feet of Maharaj Ambarish, even though Maharaj Ambarish was a Kshatriya Grihastha. One should be very careful not to offend the lotus feet of Vaishnavas and Brahmanas. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Karoti Vachanam Praskipati Maham Vande Shri Gurundinatanam. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Maharaj Rahugana, he's coming to a realization here. He is realizing that he has made a mistake in his perception of Jad Bharat. And due to that mistake or misidentifying him, then he has offended a great soul. And so he's repentant and asking for forgiveness. He's basically saying, sorry, I didn't know. But at the same time, he's saying that in an eloquent way, very eloquent. He's saying, you're disguising yourself, and due to this disguise, I was fooled, and therefore I made a mistake of treating you in this way. But at the same time, he says, I take full responsibility. I I am probably offending people like you all the time. He's saying that I'm a puffed up king, and this is just what puffed up people do. They walk around offending everybody and everyone. So it's not that I just did it with you. Likely, I've been doing it my whole life. So please forgive me. And I beg forgiveness from every other soul that I have done this to, unknowingly or knowingly. Mm. So it's an interesting point here that often they say not to judge a book by its cover, and first impressions, the external appearance, is never totally indicative of the internal. You don't have the full picture. And so we see this in different situations where a devotee was misjudged or not recognized. A famous pastime that comes to mind is Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Gadadhar Pandit went to see him, and Pundarik was very opulent. He said that in some places I heard that he had a ring on every finger, 10 finger rings. And his hair was very slick back. He was sitting on big Vyasasan. He had a spitin, and everything was very opulent around him. So Gadadhar, being in knowledge of the principles of bhakti, which is true, uh, Jnana and Vairagya, knowledge and detachment, he was saying, this cannot be a devotee. His mind was doubtful. So while he was doubting like this, uh, his friend who took him there, I think it was Murari or Mukunda, he noticed, oh, Gadadhar is doubtful. So he began to recite a verse describing the mercy of the Lord. Mm. Kamvadayalum sharanam vrajema. How merciful is the Lord that he gave his mercy even to Putana who came to kill him. And so Pundanik Vidyanidhi, being overwhelmed by the qualities of the Lord, it's often said that two qualities of Krishna the devotees really love. One is his beauty, and the other is his mercy. So Pundarik Vidyanidhi, hearing of the Lord's mercy, he fell into ecstasy, so much so that he collapsed off the Vyasasan. And so Gadadhar realized, oh, these are ecstatic symptoms. I made a mistake of judging this devotee. Mhm. Another time, we hear of Mukunda, who was sent to Ramananda Roy. Mahaprabhu told him, he went to Mahaprabhu. He said, I want to hear something about Krishna. Mahaprabhu said, I don't know anything. You go hear from Ramananda. So he went to go see Ramananda Roy, and he was waiting. So he asked, what's he up to? So the servant said, "Oh, Ramananda, he's massaging the naked bodies of the Devadasis. He's training them to put on a play for Lord Jagannath." So Mukunda, he thought, this is not what a devotee does, and he left. He was doubtful. And so Mahaprabhu the next day he asked him, "Did you hear from Ramananda?" And he realized, no, I didn't. So he sent them back again. He told them actually Ramananda, his body and his mind are fixed just like stone. They are never affected by any material influence. So he also realized, oh, I've committed an offense to Ramananda Roy. Externally, he looked in a certain way, but internally, he's a great devotee. So an example Prabhupada gives here, and this is the common example we always hear of offending a devotee, is one of Durvasa Muni. Ambarish Maharaj. Durvasa also, he thought Ambarish, he's just a grihastha. Ambarish Maharaj was fully absorbed in devotional service. He was performing a fast on Ekadashi, and the time to break the fast on Dwadashi had appeared. So just when he was about to break his fast, Durvasa Muni appeared. And Durvasa, he's hot-tempered. Actually, his name means difficult to live with. Dur, difficult, Vas, to stay with. So Ambarish, he was welcoming of his guest, and he said, "Oh, please come eat with me. I'm about to break my fast." Durvasa said, "I will, but I'm just going to go take my bath first." He went to take his bath, but he took too long. And Ambarish, being very strict, he wanted to break the fast at the right time to get the credit for the fast. So he made a compromise. He said, if I drink water, it's breaking the fast, but it's not at the same time. As soon as he drank the water, by his mystic potency, Durvasa was able to know that he had done that, and he became offended. How I am his guest, how could he eat before I? So being very angry, he ripped a piece of his hair out and created a demon to kill Ambarish Maharaj. But being a great devotee, Ambarish was protected by the Lord. Particularly, he was protected by the Sudarshana Chakra. And that chakra killed the demon and began to chase Ambarish Maharaj all over the universe. So two situations. Ambarish, he's a grihastha, he's a king, very opulent. Durvasa, he's very austere, he's a sage. Who is the greater devotee? Is it the external or is it the internal? The devotion is never indicative just by seeing the externals. So Durvasa had nowhere to go. He ran over the universe begging for forgiveness. Went to Brahma, went to Shiva, finally went to Vishnu. Even Vishnu said, I cannot protect you. How can you get free from this? You have to beg forgiveness from Ambarish Maharaj himself. And so this is the principle we see here of atoning for one's offense by approaching the personality and begging for forgiveness. Offenses to devotees are the greatest obstacle in devotional service. Mahaprabhu described it as the mad elephant offense that can destroy your garden. One may be able to produce a very nice garden by a lot of work, a lot of attention, through patience and through time. But if an elephant walks in, within seconds, all that work that may have taken you decades is destroyed instantaneously. So Mahaprabhu said to be very careful to guard against this offense. The 10th canto verse spoken by Shukadeva Goswami describes the result of offending a devotee. Ayu shreyam yasho dharmam lokan ashishya evacha hanti shreyamsi sarvani pumso mahat atikramaha. This verse is spoken at the end of the 4th chapter, the atrocities of King Kamsa. Kamsa, being materially ambitious and knowing that his demise is coming, he began to send so many demons. This was the advice of his ministers to kill all the brahmanas, all the cows, all the saintly persons, and this would protect himself. And so after describing this, then Shukadeva Goswami ends with this verse. For one who offends great souls, mahat atikramaha, then everything is destroyed. Ayu, his lifespan, Shreya, his Ayu Shreyam, his beauty, Yesho, one's fame, Dharma, one's religion, Lokan, his possibilities of being elevated to higher planets, and all other benedictions one may have achieved are destroyed if one offends a great devotee. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we hear how quickly one can be destroyed. Within 3 days, so many devotees or many personalities were reduced to nothing. A famous example is there of Gopal Chapal. There was two. There's a Gopal Chapal. Both of them are offenders, actually. Gopal Chapal offended Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur had his kirtans in his house. Everyone wanted to get in. Gopal Chapal wasn't allowed. So he thought, okay, I got to do something about this. So he put all this paraphernalia in front of Srivas Thakur's house, paraphernalia that's used for worshiping Durga. He even put a glass of wine there, and he thought when people see this, then Srivas's fame will be destroyed. So in the morning, Srivas saw this, and he, being very humble, he said, "Yes, come everyone, just see. I'm not a devotee. Just see this paraphernalia, how fallen I am." All the neighbors knew this is somebody has planted all these. They cleaned it all up quickly. And within 3 days, Gopal Chapal had contacted leprosy and he was rotting in pain. On the bank of the Ganges, he spent much of his life. He begged Mahaprabhu for forgiveness. Mahaprabhu said, "I'll never forgive you. You rot like this." But Mahaprabhu did like that because he was waiting for Gopal Chapal to feel some repentance. So later on in Chaitanya Leela, we know that when he did repent, then Mahaprabhu forgave him. And then the other was Gopal Chakravarti, who offended Haridas Thakur in the house of Govardhan and Hiranya Majumdar. They would have all these gatherings where the Brahmanas will discuss the holy name, and Haridas Thakur described how the holy name gives beyond liberation. Even if one chants Nama Bas, one is immediately liberated. And then Gopal Chakravarti, he protested. How could you say like that? One cannot achieve liberation after millions of births. And you're saying just by chanting one holy name, one can achieve it. So he said, if this is not true, I will cut off your tongue. And Haridas's reply, again, was very humble. He said, if this is not true, I'll cut off my own tongue. And 3 days later, Gopal Chakravarti, again, leprosy. His nose was falling off. He said that he was very young and beautiful and handsome, but within 3 days, everything was destroyed for him. So again, Ayushreyam Yasho Dharamam Lokan Ashishya Evacha. All that one has possessed, fame, beauty, uh, wealth, reputation, lifespan, everything is destroyed by offending the great souls. So these personalities who have offended, they done so with malice, and they did so with intention. Like in the court of law, if one commits murder, there's premeditated murder, which is first degree. You get the greatest sentence for it. And then there's like what's called manslaughter or unintentional murder. You're still responsible because you have committed a crime, but you didn't have the intention. Maybe it was like a fit of anger, it was in the heat of the moment, or just due to irresponsibility. But still, the offense is accepted. The offense is taken. You don't get let off scot-free, but you get a little bit of a lesser sentence. So then there are, for most of us, we may say that when we commit offenses, it's unintentional. It's kind of like the way of the world. Uh, Lust, anger, greed, madness, envy, illusion, being in the heart of the conditioned soul. These things, they take a little bit of time for them to be vanquished. And so, yes, we may sometimes get a little heated, get a little angry, speak out of turn, or we may even do it just mm, by mistake. In other words, I'm reminded of mm, a pastime of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami, he was uh, there was a crippled Vaishnav who was living in Vrindavan, and so he came to see Rupa Goswami. And when he came to visit, Rupa Goswami was chanting the holy name, and he was absorbed in samadhi. And in his vision, he saw a humorous pastime of Radha and Krishna. And so Rupa Goswami began to laugh. But the crippled Vaishnav, he thought Rupa Goswami is laughing at me, at my condition. And so he left, being very upset. At that exact moment, Rupa Goswami's meditation broke. Um, and so he went to Sanatan. Sanatan was known to be like the guru of all the Goswamis. He was the eldest. So he went to Sanatan. He said, "This is what happened. I was meditating. I was seeing the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and it broke. What happened? Why did my vision disappear?" And so Sanatan, his first reply was, "You must have offended a Vaishnav." Rupa was surprised. How? Who? Where? When? How can I figure out who is it that I offended so I can beg their forgiveness? So Sanatana, he told him, this is what you do. He devised a plan. He said, you hold a feast, and whoever doesn't come, doesn't show up, you know that's the person you offended. Hmm. Pretty clever. So he did that, Rupa Goswami, and he was mindful, who's here, who's not there, and he realized, oh, this Vaishnava, he didn't show up. So he went to him immediately and he asked, oh, my dear Vaishnav, why didn't you come to my feast? Please forgive me. What did I do? And the Vaishnav told him, yeah, I came to see you, but instead of welcoming me, you just laughed at me. Why did you do that? And he told him, oh, yes, I was actually witnessing this pastime. I was not laughing at you. He begged for his forgiveness. So even laughing at a devotee, uh, there's a saying like you can laugh with someone, but you can laugh at somebody. So sometimes mm, they're like there's a thin line between that. It's like the unfortunate situation is like in the material world, humor is always at the expense of somebody. There's a saying like being the butt of the joke. Even in modern uh, entertainment, they have this TV show called The Roast, where millions of people sit there and watch a row of comedians insult a famous person, and this is the relish. So, so yeah, it can be very subtle how offenses are committed. In the fourth canto, there's the incident of also what's their name? There were two friends of Daksha. In the sacrifice of Daksha, Daksha also he offended a Vaishnav, he offended Lord Shiva. He insulted him because Shiva did not stand upon Daksha's arrival. And so two friends of Daksha, one was laughing, and the other he was moving his eyebrows like this, expressing his joy at Shiva being insulted. So later on, when Sati had killed herself and Lord Shiva created a fiery demon to go destroy Daksha and all his people, this fiery demon, Virabhadra, he captured these two, the one that was laughing and the one that was moving his eyes. And so the one who was laughing, his punishment was that Virabhadra knocked out all his teeth. And the one who was moving his eyes, Virabhadra plucked out both of his eyes out. So signifying, yeah, a taking pleasure uh, in minimizing another devotee, even if it's expressed in a subtle way, in laughing or moving the eyes, still that is an offense to some degree. So being very careful to avoid offenses intentionally or unintentionally. Through this example of Rupa Goswami, it's described that Mahaprabhu actually was teaching that no matter how great you are, if you offend a devotee, there will still be a reaction. And often, what is the reaction? It is that one will lose their taste for Krishna consciousness, just as Rupa Goswami, his meditation broke. He was pulled out of the pastime. Similarly, for us, when we offend a devotee unknowingly, how can we know? We can introspect and see, am I losing my taste for the holy name? Am I losing my taste for reading? Am I losing my taste for associating with devotees? Even losing my taste for prasad. This is an indication that something is going wrong. And so the remedy is to retrace our steps and figure out where in the equation did I mess up. They say, like in mathematics, I remember when studying, you would have the whole equation, and if you get the wrong uh, result, then the teacher says, what do? You go backwards, you trace one step, other step, and you go until you find where you made the mistake, and then you can see everything after that was also mistaken, and that's why you got the wrong conclusion. So similarly, devotional service, we can do like that. Ayurveda says a similar thing. If you feel some illness in the body, then it says to go back 48 hours and see what is it did I eat. And then you could attribute the disease ailment to what you have eaten. So similarly, we can do like that and see where, because Krishna will give us indication. If we are conscious, then we can be Krishna conscious. So if we are trying to be vigilant, aware, then Krishna will give us indication where did we go wrong, if I have committed any offenses, and then we can rectify. So no matter how great one is, one should be careful. Uh, Actually, Mahaprabhu taught the same principle through Mother Sachi, who apparently offended Advaita Acharya. Mother Mahaprabhu was giving many benedictions to his devotees, and then a devotee said, "Oh, call Mother Sachi, give her some benediction." Mahaprabhu said, she can't get love of God. She has offended a devotee." Everyone was surprised. Mother Sachi, she's the mother of the universe. Who could she offend? Mahaprabhu said she offended Advaita Acharya. So all the devotees went to Advaita. Please forgive Mother Sachi. Advaita Acharya became afraid. How can you say it like this? She's the mother of the universe. How can she ever offend me? She's given birth to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Are you guys trying to kill me by saying like this? So while he was glorifying Mother Sachi, after hearing this, he fell into ecstasy. And Sachi Mata, she came and took the dust from his feet and put it on her head. You see, the seeming offense that she had committed was um, Mahaprabhu was hanging out at the house of Advaita Acharya, and before that, his brother Vishwarup, by the association of Advaita Acharya, seemingly became renounced, took sannyas and left. And so when Mahaprabhu was also associating Nimai at the house of Advaita, Mother Sachi, she was afraid. By this Advaita, I lost one son, and now I'm going to lose the second. So she said that they call him Advaita, but actually he should be called Dvaita because he's causing duality and friction in my life. Hmm. So this was her offense. She had criticized Advaita Acharya. So Mother Sachi, the greatest personality, still Mahaprabhu is showing. Doesn't matter how great you are, be very careful of this mad elephant offense. So a very good policy is actually to offer respects to everyone, no matter who they are. You see, the history of devotional service is not limited to one life. So a devotee may be just entering the process of Krishna consciousness association of the devotees, but we don't know where they started. We don't know what is their history. They may be a very elevated soul. And it's also said that if a devotee is just a beginner and you offend him, and then in due course of time that devotee becomes very advanced, then the offense that was committed earlier on is taken into consideration to the degree of that person's advancement. Mm. My spiritual master, he once said that some are younger, becoming more advanced, and some devotees are older and they're becoming less advanced. Mm. So the principle actually of respecting all living entities, uh, if we can do that, then it's naturally going to be the case that in association of the devotees, we will also respect all devotees. There's a saying, how you do one thing is how you will do everything. So if a person is like prone to offend and criticize non-devotees, then it's more likely that they will do that also in association of the devotees. So a good way is just to respect everyone. There's no harm in seeing that everybody is more advanced than me. Everyone is more senior than I am. Actually, that's the vision of the pure devotee. But it can also be practiced in the platform of the Madhyama Adhikari. Mahaprabhu, very nicely, he had two devotees also. Mm, Mukunda and his son, Raghunandana. And so Mahaprabhu asked Mukunda, who's the father. He said, who is the son and who is the father? And Mukunda's reply was that Raghunandana, he is my father and I am his son. And so that explanation that he gave was that by the mercy of Raghunandana, although he's younger than I am, he is a pure devotee, and by his mercy we have all achieved devotional service. And so this reply that Mukunda gave a lot of pleasure to Mahaprabhu. Expressing his humility, his appreciation of his son, his appreciation of the devotee, beyond the external, seeing more of the devotion that he had in his heart. So to conclude, from all these amazing pastimes that are given in the scripture, they are teaching, they are didactic. We learn that Krishna wants all his devotees to live nicely together. He wants us to have humility, to have love for one another, and to not offend anyone, what to speak of offending a great devotee. So the mistake that Rahugana made is that he thought this is just an ordinary person, I can offend him, but he happened to be a great personality. So if he was of the disposition that I will offer respects to everyone, no matter who, then naturally he will cover the pure, the not pure, the intermediate. Everyone will be offered the due respect, because ultimately everyone is Krishna's servant. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. Mahaprabhu in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, he says, never offend any of my servants. So I would, from my own experience, I can say that a few devotees that I have seen fall away from Krishna consciousness, I can see that it was due to offenses committed. Often somebody may feel like I am leaving the society of the devotees. But from another perspective, we can see that actually they are not leaving. Krishna is removing them from the society due to their offenses. So we want to remain as long as possible in Krishna's service. And to do that, vigilance is the price to pay. So thank you, everyone. And if anybody would like to add or ask anything.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for the very nice class and giving so much examples about how uh, uh, offense can be done against the Vaishnavas. And the first thing you have told is very important that uh, we do not know, we do not know a Vaishnava from outside, how much advanced he is. So the first thing you have told, and you've given so many examples, you've given the Pundarikakya Vidyanidhi was misjudged, and how Ramananda Rai was was wrongly conceived by Pradyumna Mishra. Was at the time he was from Seattle, Mahaprabhu's own place. Sylhet is also called the English name. So he came there and wanted to hear about Krishna, and Mahaprabhu sent him to Ramananda Rai, and when he see that he was with the young girls, he had a wrong idea about Ramananda Rai, but Mahaprabhu told him that he is a pure Vaishnava, and there is no example like him. So, in other words, what I mean to say, even a person who is sincere in his approach may commit mistake. So, the best thing you have told finally is that we should respect everybody so that we do not commit any offense. If we respect everybody, irrespective of who,
Mm.
instead of being judgmental that whether he's doing it or not, if we are respectful to everybody, then we will probably commit the least mistake. And in a similar way, you have given the example also how one falls down. You give the example of two Gopals, Gopal Chapal and Gopal Chakraborty, and they are mentioned. Both of them are mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, but Mahaprabhu also told in case of Gopal Chapal, Mahaprabhu initially, he went initially to Mahaprabhu for getting mercy, but
Mm.
Mahaprabhu flatly denied him and
Mm.
told go to Sivash. And also not immediately, after a long time, if I can remember correctly,
Yes.
when Mahaprabhu came after sannyasa to Kulya, Navadvip, at that time he was giving his mercy to everybody. And at the time, Gopal Chapal also came,
Mm.
and Mahaprabhu advised him, then go to Sivash. And you have committed offense against him. So I cannot give you that. But he got it very easily from Srivastava because Srivastava was a perfect Vaishnava. So we should, whenever, if knowingly we have know that we have committed an offense, we should immediately pay apology to the person and get the matter settled instead of dragging it, because
Mm,
it is a great offense, and one can never get repaired from that unless that is rectified. And you have given a very good example about the mathematical steps. When if we go back, when we have committed a mistake, and all the subsequent steps become faulty. When we have committed one offense, the subsequent faults are all subsequent steps are also faulty. So it is better. So to find out, you go in a negative, in other way, the backward direction, and find out why you have committed a mistake. So that is also a very good example for us to remember in our life if we have committed any offense or not, or if we do not know how we have offended someone, then we should try to think of our actions and our activities, what wrong I might have committed.
mm,
If we are sincere in our approach, uh, the we can get the mercy of the person also, because a sincere mistake is often excused by Vaishnava. But if we are very proud about our own activities,
mm,
then there is a chance that I mean, then there's no chance of rectifying.
mm.
So in that way, you have very nicely covered everything of the Vaishnava Parads and from giving various examples from the Shastra. So thank you very much for the very nice class.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, it's amazing actually just thinking about it now. There's so many examples everywhere about the dangers of offending the devotees. So it shows how important this principle is because it's repeated everywhere, and it's a point to be taken. And another point that you made is that just by repenting, one way is to offend and not care about it, actually think that I am right. I was the one who was wronged, and therefore I'm justified in offending and blaspheming and criticizing the devotees because they were the ones who were wrong. I have been victimized. But the more progressive and pure approach is that one is immediately repentant, and just by that repentance alone, it says that the heart becomes purified. It's the price to pay for purification. But without that, then one digs their grave deeper and deeper until devotional service is finished. So yeah, I think the main principle that comes is one has to be humble, always see that what it is it that I could have done wrong, rather than think that I'm always the one who's being wronged. So thank you for that input, Prabhu. You gave a nice summary, better than I can ever give.
Thanks,
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you for the very elaborate explanation of this verse, especially devotee offense. One of the things you mentioned towards the end is that sometimes the devotee leaves because of creating offense with other devotees, which is quite regrettable. So should one try and get him back? Because people, gallons of blood, as Prabhupada said, to make a devotee, and some
Mm,
leaves. It's such a traumatic experience for both the society and for the devotee. So, in your opinion, what should be done to,
mm.
or should we get him back?
Yeah, I can think of, I guess it depends on the situation. One is that if one has committed an offense, should we bring them back? Yes and no. One way to look at it is that, yes, if they have committed an offense and they can rectify themselves from that, then yes, bringing them back and helping them to continue. Because it's described also that what is the remedy to offenses is that one has to continue to push on, chant the holy name with more vigor, begging and crying to Krishna to please remove my offenses. So chanting with offenses, the remedy for that is to continue to chant. So yes, we can try to bring them back and help them to come back to the process of devotional service and then ultimately become offenseless in due course of time, which is possible. It may take many, many lives, but still, it's always possible. The soul is pure and they can never be eternally removed from Krishna's service. So yes, we can try to bring them back. The other perspective is that if they are offensive, and the remaining in the society of the devotees that continue to make offenses, then the remedy for them is to be removed from the society, so then they don't commit offenses anymore. So it's described that the devotee, the Madhyama, he ignores the envious, and that is for their benefit. So yeah, sometimes actually having somebody not there is like a relief. I'm sorry to say, but just like Durvasa, his name is difficult to live with. So sometimes, yeah, there's a peace of mind when somebody's causing a disturbance. When they leave, there's like a burden lifted off the shoulder. So similarly, it may be the case, unfortunately, if somebody's really like that, then Krishna will remove them for their benefit, and it may be better for us to leave them for some time until they are ready again. Hopefully in this life, maybe not, but by their own accord. Because there's a saying, you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. So devotional service is going to be always voluntary, and giving up offenses also is going to be voluntary. The instructions are there, but it takes the individual to be willingly proactive in changing their behavior.
You the explanation, yes and no. I really like the explanation. It depends on the incident or the background. Thank you, bro.
Hare Krishna. Anything else?
So it doesn't seem to be any more reflection, so we should end here. Thank you, bro.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila
Mancha
Prabhupada.
kalpatarubhyascha
Survasya
kripa
kripa
sindhubhyo
sindhuvaya च
पतितानां
पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो
प्रभुभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
नमः
नमः
अनंत कोटि
अनंत
वैष्णव
कोटि
वृंद
वैष्णव
की
की जय
जय हिज ग्रेस वृंदावन मधुर्य प्रभु की
की
जय
जय
शिला प्रभुपाद की जय
जय
गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि
हरि
बोल
हरि
ऑल
बोल
ग्लोरीज टू assembled devotees
हरे
हरि
कृष्णा
थैंक यू प्रभु वेरी नाइस क्लास थैंक यू हरे कृष्णा
हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna.